Hey everyone, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day, and today in Forgotten Characters Episode 1, we're going to be taking a look at R.W. Trickler, who is a corrupt magnate for General American Oil. Trickler first appeared halfway through The Broken Ear, where he asked Tintin to try and persuade General Alcazar to take over the Gran Chapo region, which lies partly in the Nuevo Rican territory. Even though this meant war, Trickler still promised the government of San Theodoros a share in the profits that would accrue when General American Oil exploited the oil fields in the Gran Chapo region. He also offered Tintin $100,000 in cash if he could persuade General Alcazar to undertake the campaign. As expected, Tintin vehemently refused Trickler's offer. Trickler was then forced to go to his right-hand man, Rodriguez, whom he offered $10,000 to be rid of Tintin. Rodriguez agreed, and then went to Pablo and offered him $5,000 for an accident to happen to Tintin. Unfortunately for them, though, the accident did not quite go as planned. None of this fazed Trickler, though, because a couple of days later, he was talking to General Alcazar himself. He offered the general 35% of the profit he would make, which was enough to persuade him. But then afterwards, shortly before he left, and to take revenge on Tintin, he told the general not to trust Tintin because he might make trouble for him later on. When Trickler was leaving the building and Tintin was coming in, he seemed just a little bit too happy, which made Tintin suspect that he was up to something. By page 35 in the book, we learn that Trickler's in league with Basil Bazarov of Corrupt Arms, selling arms to both the Nuevo Rican and the San Theodoran government. Trickler then fakes a handwritten letter from the Republic of Nuevo Rico and shows it to General Alcazar. The letter reads, "We have safely received the plans of the 75 TRGP, which the government of San Theodoros has just acquired. As promised, the agreed fee will now be paid to you." General Alcazar did not take kindly to Tintin's alleged espionage and ordered for him to be arrested. All was going well for Trickler at this point because the general had agreed to undertake his campaign and Tintin had just been jailed. General Alcazar then called Trickler to tell him that their plan was successful and that the Nuevo Ricans had declared war on them. Trickler, as expected, was ecstatic. This is the last we see of Trickler in The Broken Ear. This is not the end of Trickler's story, though, because he makes a one-panel cameo appearance halfway through the book The Calculus Affair in the Hotel Snore. Presumably he's still in arms trafficking, but we're not quite sure at this point whether he still works for General American Oil. As you can tell from the photo, his general look hasn't really changed. He still wears those funny yellow gloves, carries an umbrella, and smokes a cigar. He did change his style of hat, though. Trickler yet again makes more appearances, this time in most versions of Tintin and Alphart, alongside W.R. Gibbons from The Blue Lotus. Endodinakis, being the dodgy kind of guy that he is, invited Trickler and Gibbons to stay for a while at his villa on the island of Ischia, which is on the west coast of Italy. And since obviously Castafiore was hooked up to Akkas, she was able to introduce Trickler and Gibbons to Tintin. They seem quite surprised to meet him, but nevertheless they still shake hands. It's at this point that Castafiore makes clear that Trickler and Gibbons are in the import-export business, although we kind of suspected that from before. And this frame, which you can see on screen right now, is the very last we see of Trickler. It's a new day, that's why he's wearing a new outfit, same with Gibbons, and Tintin is on the way to jail here. Trickler says that he'll drink to that, and he seems to be very excited that Tintin has finally been caught, although of course that's not what happens in the end. And Trickler being immaculately dressed here, as always, kind of further proves that he's a really educated, eloquent, and very clever guy, even though he technically is a villain. So there you have it, guys. That's all there's left to say about the scheming, conniving character of R.W. Trickler. And I wish Hergé developed him a little bit more, but given what we have, it's still really interesting to see how he's progressed through the course of the series. So I guess that concludes today's episode, Forgotten Characters number 1, R.W. Trickler. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.